The male loneliness epidemic.
Here's a clearer picture of the so-called male loneliness epidemic. What the data says. Surging decline in male friendships. In the US, the share of men reporting no close friends jumped from about 3% in 1990 to 15% by 2021. Site turn search 11. Medium also notes men now have 50% fewer close friendships than women on average, with that gap widening over the last 2 decades. Site turn search 5. Loneliness rates by gender. Pew 2024, 16% of men say they're lonely all or most of the time, nearly identical to 15% of women. Site turn search 1, turn search 6. But distinctions emerge in younger age groups. A recent Gallup poll found 25% of men under 35 report feeling lonely during much of the previous day, compared to 18% of women in the same age cohort. Site turn news 19, turn news 20. International comparison. This places US young men above most other high-income democracies, median quoted at 15%, and second only to Turkey at 29%, 20. Why the spotlight on men? Cultural barriers. Masculine norms, such as emotional stoicism and self-reliance from a young age, discourage broaching loneliness or seeking support. Site turn search 4, turn news 19. Digital isolation. Over-reliance on gaming, porn, and online entertainment can provide temporary escape, but also substitute for real emotional connections. Site turn news 19. Life stage factors. Studies from Australia show that factors like job loss in young men and social disconnection in middle-aged and older men strongly predict loneliness. Site turn search. Is it really a male epidemic? It's complex. Yes. Male friendship networks appear to be shrinking. Fewer close friends and more men reporting no one knows them really well. Site turn search 5. No. General loneliness levels are similar across genders in broader populations. In many surveys, women report equal or slightly higher loneliness. Site turn search 1, turn search 6. That said, young men under 35 are clearly at greater risk compared to peers, regionally and globally. Site turn news 19, turn news 2020. Why it matters. Loneliness isn't just emotionally painful, it's also a serious health issue. It's linked to a 26 to 32% higher risk of premature death, increased chances of heart disease, stroke, and dementia, elevated rates of depression, anxiety, and even suicide. Site turn search turn news 20 high. Given that men, particularly younger ones, are more reluctant to seek support, their isolation may deepen unaddressed. What can help? Reform male social norms. Encourage emotional openness from childhood. Challenge the idea that men don't seek support. Site and search for 59. Build community third places. Workplaces, clubs, volunteer groups, and shared male spaces can foster deeper bonds. Offer targeted mental health outreach. Male-friendly programs like men-only peer groups destigmatize help-seeking and leverage digital tools responsibly. Engage women and allies. Support structures involving wider social networks can complement turn search. Bottom line. Overall loneliness affects both men and women at similar rates in the general adult population. But young men in the US face compounding disadvantages. Fewer friends, stronger cultural barriers, higher temporary isolation, and clear international disparity. So while the phrase male loneliness epidemic might oversimplify the data, there's no denying young men are disproportionately impacted. NavList, recent reporting on male loneliness, turn news 19, turn news 20Y.
Okay. But what if some men prefer to be alone?
Great question and a very important distinction. Not all solitude is loneliness, and some men genuinely prefer to be alone. And that's not a problem. Here's how to break it down. Loneliness, solitude. Loneliness equals a painful experience of being disconnected from others, even if you're around people. It's unwanted. Solitude equals a chosen state of being alone, often for peace, focus, or personal clarity. It can be deeply fulfilling. Some men prefer solitude because they value independence and minimal drama. They find group dynamics emotionally exhausting. They've had negative social or romantic experiences. They enjoy hobbies or careers that don't require frequent interaction. They prefer depth over breadth, one or two deep relationships over many casual ones. Preference versus coping mechanism. A critical distinction. Authentic solitude is intentional and makes someone feel at peace. Avoidant isolation is often a defense. It looks like preference, but it's rooted in fear of rejection, distrust from past betrayals, social anxiety or trauma, internalized beliefs like real men don't need support. So when a man says he prefers to be alone, it's worth asking. Does he feel stronger and more at peace this way, or is he trying to protect himself from hurt? The danger of assumptions. Society sometimes pathologizes solitude, especially in men, as abnormal or a red flag. But some of the most creative, centered, or thoughtful people are lone wolves by nature. On the flip side, assuming all isolation is healthy can mask deeper emotional distress. Healthy solitude looks like being alone but not feeling alone, still having access to support when needed, being able to open up if you choose, not because you're forced to, finding meaning and growth in your own space. Not every man needs a tribe. Not every quiet life is empty. The key is whether his aloneness is feeding him or starving him. Would you like a breakdown of how to tell healthy solitude from toxic isolation?
Come on. That said, no, we really need to talk about this quote unquote male loneliness epidemic. And while we got retarded fucks on YouTube and social media believing that just because a man chooses to be alone, that automatically means something is wrong with them. What's more, what's more, when they talk about the male loneliness epidemic, they only looking at one side of the problem, but not the other. Basically, they believe that the male loneliness epidemic has to do has to do with men on a romantic level. When in reality, the male loneliness epidemic addresses not just that, because that's a half truth. It also addresses the fact that you got men out there who rather have no friends at all, or they rather keep their circles to a minimum. And which, of course, that makes absolute sense. Which is better, to have fewer people in your circle that you can trust, you can talk to, you can rely on, or trying to be friends with everybody, don't know some of them from a can of paint, and some will even stab you in the back. But let social media and society tell you about male loneliness epidemic. They want they want everybody to believe that somehow because a man chooses to be alone, that means something wrong with them. That mean that automatically means that they need mental health and all this other retarded fuck shit. Y'all they don't even know these men from a can of paint. But here's the sad and pathetic part, in which of course I call it the most delectable irony of it all. The main ones who wants to make a big deal about the male loneliness epidemic as well as to try to ridicule men for being alone, and I shit you not when I'm about to say this, are the same retarded fucks who are also alone. Yes, you heard me. The main ones making a big deal about this quote unquote epidemic are also alone themselves. And to make it even more of an embarrassment, some of them chooses to be alone. But these are the main ones who want to flap their fucking gums trying to talk about, oh, these men going through a male loneliness epidemic, while at the same time they have their own loneliness epidemic to deal with. And no, ain't nothing more embarrassing than to try to make fun of somebody being alone, while at the same time, these same retarded fucks is not in a relationship, not married, and some don't even want to date at all. And no, booty calls don't count. And yet somehow, these would be the same retarded fucks that want to sit there and try to make fun of someone else being alone. And nine times out of 10, most of these men they want to talk shit to, some of these men chooses to be alone. Believe me, I'm one. And I don't give a fuck what my retarded fuck ass haters got to say. There's a reason why I choose to be alone. All Uncle JD's gonna say is this: as far as I'm concerned, my mission is accomplished. If Uncle JD lead this earth right now, I can lead this earth with a goddamn smile on my face. I lead this earth with a family and a legacy. Case in point, Uncle JD got what he wanted. So me being alone doesn't bother me much. And on top of that, I don't even look at my situation as, oh, me being lonely. I'm enjoying my goddamn solitude. And yes, you retarded fucks, there's a big difference between male loneliness and male solitude. It ain't got shit to do with dating, ain't got shit to do with relationships. Hell, it ain't got shit with me being antisocial. Because for those of y'all who see my life outside YouTube videos, I ain't got no problem in the socialization category. And yeah, if I want to get my dick wet, I can still do that shit too. So who does this male loneliness epidemic really applies to? Because a lot of these, as I stated before, a lot of these retarded fucks is confusing male loneliness with male solitude. Yes, retarded fucks, there's a big difference. You don't see men like me sitting there crying about, why I can't get a woman to date me, why I can't get into a relationship with a woman. For those y'all who've been with me for years, have I ever made that complaint? Nope. You even got some that make fun of men who chooses to be alone, while at the same time, they got to make AI deepfakes and CGI to pretend like they got girlfriends and shit. That's a male loneliness epidemic right there. Where you got to pretend that you have a girlfriend when in reality, you're just desperate to be in a relationship because the same thing they want to say to others, it's the same thing that can also be applied to them. And as I also stated, some chooses to be alone. I'm in my 40s. I don't care about dating. Well, if that's the case, why you on YouTube and social media trying to ridicule other men for following the same suit? If that's what you believe in yourself. That's kind of hypocritical. That's hypocritical. We gonna ridicule men for being alone while at the same time your ass chooses to be alone. Make that retarded logic make sense. And no, it ain't got shit to do with they can't find women, they can't get laid and this type of stuff, because I've been proving y'all retarded fucks wrong on that shit for years. So obviously it's got to be more to it. It got to be more to it. And on top of that, and on top of that, why is it just male loneliness? Women is also suffering from loneliness too, in case these retarded fucks haven't figured that shit out either. In fact, there's an even balance between male loneliness and female loneliness. It's like how I always hear those bitter bras who say, "Oh, these men gonna die in nursing homes and all this type of shit." Not even knowing that I used to work in a nursing home, and believe it or not, there are more women in nursing homes than men. Certified fact. Look this shit up. There are more women in nursing homes than men. Who's dying in the nursing home more than the other? Okay then. And speaking of the women, oftentimes we hear this male loneliness epidemic coming from the feminists and their simps. I guess this is their way to try to shame men into getting back into the dating market. It doesn't work. And some of these men have a reason. They rather prefer solitude and be at peace with themselves by themselves than to deal with a nagging wife, a nagging woman. What did the book of Proverbs used to say? Better to sleep on the roof than be around a nagging wife. That's an actual Bible scripture right there. Some men rather be at peace than have to deal with all that fucking stress. But let's get down to the most critical part of male loneliness, which is the younger generation, the young men and boys. And let's just go ahead and just say this shit right here. Most young men and boys are more focused on getting themselves established. What good is them getting into a relationship? They don't have nothing together. They don't have nothing together. And when it fails, what happens? Okay then. And on top of that, and I hate to say this, actually, I don't hate. Actually, I love to say this because the main ones trying to make a big deal about men being alone are the same ones who don't want to be lonely their own damn selves. And that's a fact. And I believe my college instructor has said this shit. In which y'all been hearing Uncle JD say this shit as well. Loneliness is something to master rather than to be discouraged. I'll say it again. Loneliness is something to master more than being discouraged. Let me paint a picture so y'all can see a little better. Suppose if you are in a relationship and the relationship turns toxic, man or woman, a man in a relationship, if the relationship turns toxic, she's draining your money, she's using you, she's cheating on you with other men. If you mastered loneliness, then guess what? You kicking her to the curb you kicking her ass to the curb and try to find something better will help you in the long run. While as a man who doesn't master loneliness, guess what? He's gonna be like Martin Lawrence off his sitcom. Remember when Martin Lawrence told Gina to get to stepping? What he did afterwards? He started crying for Gina to come back. Oh, he can't live without Gina. A man who doesn't master loneliness, even if he does kick her to the curb, guess what? She's gonna want her to come back. Or he doesn't want to end the relationship because of the fact that he doesn't want to be lonely. So he would rather endure that toxic relationship rather than kick her to the curb, heal from that shit, and find something better. And the same goes for women too. And yes, when I was younger, all the times I wonder, okay, I know this woman down the street, her boyfriend is so abusive. He puts his hands on her, but somehow, because she doesn't want to be lonely, she doesn't want to leave that fucking relationship. Because she didn't because she didn't want to master loneliness, she couldn't leave that abusive relationship and something worse happens. Y'all get what I'm saying here. In fact, there is a content creator. I forgot the name of that content creator too. But I do agree with what he said. These retarded fucks need to stop discouraging people from being alone. Because some of them do have their fucking reasons. And some need to heal. And some need to heal before they even get into another relationship. Yes, you heard me. Some need to heal before they even get into another relationship, because what happens if they don't heal and they get into a relationship? That past toxification of their past relationship is going to follow them into their next. So in conclusion, just because a man chooses to be alone doesn't mean that something's wrong with him. That doesn't mean that he's antisocial. That doesn't mean that he needs mental health. And these retarded fucks need to learn the difference between male loneliness and male solitude. And I'm going to end this lecture right here. And by the end of this video, I can hear less of a fuck what these retarded fucks has to say. I'm alone, but guess what? I ain't going through pain and none of that type of shit. I love my solitude. I love my peace. I'd rather choose peace than stress any day. That being said, I said what I had to say. I'm done and I'm out this bitch. Later.